Hello YouTube, this is the install on a stock tank pool, the above ground crystal clear sand filter pump by Intex. It got really good reviews on Amazon. Just to let you see a little bit of the specifications on it. Model is SF80110-1. Product is 28645EG. It's the 12-inch tank size. Sand capacity is 50 pounds. Glass media is 35 pounds. Pump motors 0.3 horsepower. Turnover rate 1600 gallons per hour. Minimum pool size is 2800 gallons. The stock tank pool is 700 gallons, just to let you know. And the maximum pool size is 12,800 gallons. So this thing is plenty strong for this little bitty 700 gallon tank. And you'll see the jet flow movement of it, and that's what we wanted. One we had was plenty strong enough, but it has the filter with the backwash, rinse, recirculate, drain, and close system. It's got a pressure gauge, automatic operations, which the main reason I wanted it was a timer on it, and it can go anywhere from 2 to 12 hours. It's got a strainer basket, and I've had this thing running for about 3 hours now, so I'm filming this at the end after it's been running, and you'll see the water and how crystal clear it is. We have well water, and normally it is green, and we have to run it through polyfiber for like 24 hours before it clears up. But in this situation here, you'll see in 3 hours it's crystal clear. YouTube, I put a video out a couple of days on getting rid of green water and kind of showing you the setup for this Intex stock tank pool and putting an Intex pump on it. This Intex pump came from the like this blue blow up 1,000-gallon tanks that have the ring at the top that you blow up. Mine burst, so I went and changed over to a stock tank pool. So this time I'm going up. There's nothing wrong with this pump. So if you have one off an old one that you want to use, that's fine. We wanted a little bit more force, a little bit more jet action. So we're going to upgrade to the 12-inch Intex Krystal Sand Pump / filter. But I want to show you real quick today. I'm going to take these off, and we're going to have to go up to a 2.5-inch hole. It's going to be a little bit tricky. Hope it goes well. But as I take this apart, I'll tell you what size this is, so just in case you're using this exact same pump, you'll know what size to drill your holes. I think it was 1.5 inches, but we'll find out. It's been a year since I've done that. So let's get ready to upgrade this pump to a bigger 12-inch Krystal Intex Sand Pump. We're getting ready to take the return off. We're going to take the hose clamp off and slide back. The piece that goes into is the return off, and that will disconnect that, and then I'll measure that hole so you guys will know if you're putting this type of Intex back in what size hole to drill. So it comes back through here. The original seal is on the other side. This is stuck pretty good, so it's sealed really well. I had no issues with it leaking. This is the washer that goes on the back, and this went on the inside. So we got this off now. Just to give you an idea of the width, is right at 2 inches. So the hole, if you're drilling this with this smaller Intex, will be 2 inches. We're going to have to go up to 2.5 inches for the bigger hose and return we're going to put on here. So we'll do that. We'll take off the other return, the strainer, and then we'll add the other ones back on. Where the strainer went in, one thing I do want to mention is, it only makes sense, you would know this hopefully, is I dropped the water levels below the strainer. I didn't take it all out. You could if you wanted to, but I did drop it down below. Undoing the clamp that I put on. This is something I added on separately. They give you plastic ones with it. I wasn't a big fan of those. This one actually has like a washer on the outside as well. On the inside this came off. You can see the black seal is still there as well. It seals really well. In fact, so well, I'm probably going to use a screwdriver to help get it off. Okay, just using the saw hole bit did not work. I didn't think it would, as I mentioned earlier. So what I did, and I'll show you in a minute, is I went and cut out a piece of wood to try to hold it still while I drill this out. We'll see if this works. And that was the trick. So what I did was, this is the 2.5 inch bit. What I had to do is, it was jigging around. I kind of mentioned that beforehand, it would do that. I'll take a rasp here and clean this up. So I took the original 2-inch bit, and what I did was I took a piece of wood, just an old piece of pine, drilled this out. That's the original hole size. Then took that and put this on this 2.5 inch bit. I did take some tape and put back here so it wouldn't move as much. And we used that to drill this out. So now we'll do that on the other side as well. Drill out the return. This is a 2-inch hole and we're drilling it to 2.5. And that worked. One thing I would recommend, and we're going to run this for a while to get these pieces out, that's the original hole, is it did put some of the metal aluminum shavings, galvanized shavings inside. If you had somebody to help you to get in the pool and take a towel and push against this, it would probably help catch some of that that's going to go down into the pool. But we'll filter all that out and get it out, and it won't be a problem. Semi setup here. We've already put the filter on. It's on the left side back here. That's the filter housing, and we're getting ready to hook the hoses up in a second, but we're going to go ahead and put sand in this part right here. It says to fill it halfway up and then take the top off and smooth it out and finish putting it in. So we're going to go ahead and pour it in slowly here. This is a 50-pound bag, so half that'll be about 25, and we're probably about there. And we'll smooth this out and finish pouring the rest in. All right, now we've smoothed out the center sand. It says to add a little bit of water in here to create a
So we're putting water in here to smooth this out. It should be enough in there. The sand is just covered.
We got water in it. We got half full of sand. It's probably actually 2/3 full of sand. We're going to put the cover back on.
Finish filling it up with sand. This is the main thing right here to cover this so the sand don't get into the middle. Joey, say hi. This is our dog Joey.
Hi.
Okay, I'm leveling this out by just shaking it a little bit here, so now it's level.
Okay, now we're getting ready to put the 6-way valve on top of it. We've already got water and the sand in. We got the cover
That was taken back off to protect it from sand getting down the center part here. And when we put this on, we're going to line this with the PVC pipe that's in here. And the drain should be facing to the back, your inlet to the left, and your out, which will go into your return that way. So you just put it on here slowly. Just like that. Fits snug. Again, this is facing out, this is your out, this is your drain, your backwash, your back flush, and your inlets here, which will go directly over your pump inlet, which goes into this.
from the, this is like the strainer area right here. This is the water pump into the inlet here. So I did put some pipe tape on here. It doesn't call for that, but I did it just to help make sure we seal anything off. Okay, that's nice and snug. And it goes onto the top here. That's as tight, hand tight as I can get. And that's it for that, putting that hose on. The next thing to do was to put this clasp back on. So I put this clasp back on. There's two screws, one on this side, one on this side. You just screw them down on top of the 6-way valve on top to the top of the tank. It's pretty easy. It did take it about a minute. Roll out. Remember, originally it was a 2-inch drilled to a 2.5. Kind of found that the 2.5 was not quite big enough. So I went and got a 2 3/4. Again, I'm showing you what not to do, so you can go straight to doing, get the 2.5, go to 2 3/4. That knocked that out. I'll take a rasp and clean that up. We just drilled out the return with the 2 7/5 hole saw bit. As you can see, the fit's perfect. The rubber gasket is here. This goes in just like this. We'll crank this down real tight.
as tight as you can do it. So that's nice and snug. So we have that side completed. And then if you look over here at the strainer side, I put that in earlier as well. So we did the 2 3/4 hole saw bit on that one, drilled it out. I put the strainer in. You can see on the inside got that as well. The inside, the strainer coming out. Again, I put some plumber's tape on here. It doesn't call for that, but I'm just doing it as extra protection. This is the plunger we're adding to be able to cut off the water when we're back flushing. This has an on and off. So you do this again as tight as you can turn it. Alright, it's as tight as it'll get. Then we'll turn around and hook the hose up to this end to go to the pump. Hose that goes from the strainer to the pump and filter. I just put it on. Tighten this up. And that's just hand tight. As tight as you can do it. The other end will go to the main pump. Up where we left off, camera was about to go dead, so I had to speed it up. We did hook up the return hose with the plunger over to the intake. I did, just to let you see, that on this Intex 12 sand filter, that's the leak catcher. I put the polyfiber in there to try to catch some of the iron before it gets into the sand. The sand probably would clear it up itself, but I did that, and we'll see if that worked after this runs for 24 hours or 12 hours, see if it stops the iron from getting into the tank. We hooked this up originally, then we turned around. I didn't show you this. We hooked the outlet over to the outlet here. We hooked up a plunger on that. Remember, that's a 2 3/4 inch hole saw bit you need to use if you're going up to this Intex 12 inch pump. They have them, I think, in 12, 14s, and 16s. I got the 12. This is only 700 gallons, but you can see the force that it's throwing out. And that's what we wanted. There was nothing wrong with the other one if you want to go for the smaller one. That was a 2-inch hole that you would drill on it. But this has the force that we were wanting to kind of be more like a whirlpool type effect. A little more action in the water, a little more movement. But we also went through all the steps on this to get the pump up and running. So it asks you have to get the air out, so you have to take the back valve off, cut the pump on. Down here you'll burp it to get the air out. Then you will go to a back flush motion. That will drain, get the particles out of the sand. Then you'll turn it into a rinse function. Every time you move this right here, you have to cut it off. Cut off switches here. But then you'll turn around, and when it's in the off position, you switch it over here. But you'll back flush it first, then rinse it. Once the water's clear, then you turn around and put it on the regular filter mode, cut the pump on, and voila. I think we're going to really enjoy this. But we are now filling it up with well water. So the water is going to turn green. It's an overcast day here too. It's kind of dark anyway. But on the last time we did this, I did another video and showed you how to clean up a green pool and use the polyfiber like I showed you a while ago. We're going to do that same process with this pump, even though the sand itself will probably do it. But we're adding water now. As you can see, the force coming out is pretty strong. Just to give you an idea of the price, this pump was about $125, $130 on Amazon. I did buy the 2 plunger sets
Actually, the strainer and this plunger came together. The plungers, you can buy them on YouTube for 15-20 bucks. I'm sorry, on Amazon. But this whole piece, the strainer, which is the 2.5-inch strainer, and the plunger came together for, I think one price was $85, and believe it or not, I got it for $49.95 from somebody on Amazon. So there's almost a $40 price difference. So look on Amazon. You have to be careful of that on the price from individual sellers that aren't Amazon sellers. And then this came with the pump. I did buy this plunger separate. Again, that was $15-20 a piece. So to upgrade this and this, the strainer and the other side, I probably had a total of 80 to 100 bucks in it. And then again, 125 to 150 bucks for the pump. So this whole setup, around 400 for the full, or the stock tank, and then another, let's just say another 250. So for around 600 bucks, $650, you got something that's going to last a while. And we're going to use this for a couple of years, and then we're going to turn this into a little koi pond. We plan on putting some cedar planks. I'll cut them up and put them around the side to make this have more of a wood or rustic look to it. But I think we're going to really enjoy this. I'm going to probably add to the end of this video what it looks like tomorrow when it's a little sunnier, and I hope it's sunnier, and also when the water's crystal clear. It does have a greenish tint to it now, and that's because we're filling it up straight from the well. Thank you for checking this out. Okay, here's the pool after 3 hours of running. The water's crystal clear. It's an overcast day today. It's wanted to rain all day and hasn't, but you can hear how quiet it is. This is the setup, and I'll go in step by step how to do this. Got a little bit of a leak here, drippage. I'm gonna get another gasket put on the outside. It did say in the instructions that the valve there would drip ever so often, but I think it's actually coming from around the base right here. But it's nothing major, because usually we're going to keep the water level below. But you can see the power coming out of here and the circular motion that it's creating, which is actually taking what little bit debris that's in here and putting it in the center, which will make it easier to get up. So let me show you the polyfiber. This is the tank. Again, I'm filming this at the end, but I have put polyfiber in here, and you can look at how it's reddish color, and that is the iron in my well water coming out. So I'm probably going to always put polyfiber in there. They just help catch some debris. That's really for like catching leaves and stuff, bigger debris that comes through before it actually goes to the pump. But I'm going to keep a little polyfiber in there all the time just to clean it up. But I'm going to also video me cleaning that out so you can just see how much it took out within 3 hours of this pump being on and running. If you have well water, it's really quiet. I did put the plunger valves on each side, but that water's moving pretty darn good. I mean, of course, you heard me read the specifications of how the minimum size, but we wanted something a little bit quicker, especially when the water gets warm. We wanted something just moving around a little better, but we'll show you a little bit more here. Thank you. Now I'm getting ready to open this up, change the polyfiber out, and you'll see within 3 hours how much iron it is taking out of my well water that I originally filled this with. This is the strainer basket that's inside here that normally is for catching leaves. So again, look at that kind of mud looking stuff coming out of it. That's what it's caught. And just kind of let you see all that dirt and mud in there. And what we'll do is we'll kind of flush this out a little bit here.
iron out. And we'll put this back down inside. It's clean. Actually, whoops. Let me not do that. We'll put this back in. Put this polyfiber back in. You can get this at Walmart. It's only like $8 for a huge, huge bag. But I'm gonna try this for a while. You don't have to have this in here, but hey, you saw what little bit of iron it pulled out. So, and I bypassed my filter because I don't want to ruin my filter that I buy at Lowe's, which is like 20 bucks for my home system. So that's it on changing that out. But you can see just in 3 hours how much it cleared it up, and the water now is crystal clear. Thank you for checking this out. Subscribe to us. Normally we're just barbecue cooking people, but we are throwing some other videos on as well. Thank you for checking us out. Here's my son, who's 7 years old, in here having a blast. The water's a little cool. Just relaxing on a float inside. One thing you will notice is I did put the valve in, which makes it a lot quieter. This runs pretty quiet, and I replaced the polyfiber in here. One thing I didn't show you guys, and I might do it tomorrow and add to the video, is I back flushed mine after I changed this polyfiber, and the amount of iron that back flushed out was really incredible. So if you thought there was a lot in this polyfiber, the sand inside caught a lot more. That's why it's a sand filter. But I am still going to put polyfiber in here just to catch some debris that come through here, so it won't go through the main pump and get into the sand bed. Where we're at here, we have mulch around it, so that could be a issue with like mulch and stuff getting caught in here. The strainer inside should catch the bigger pieces of it, but you'll see smaller debris. But it's actually really quiet. Do have a little bit of a leak over here, not too bad. I might buy another O-ring or ring going outside, so I have one on the inside and outside. But it did say that valve, air valve, right here is supposed to drip occasionally. So one thing to do is make sure you prime this every time you cut it off and back flush and so forth, just to make sure you get the air out of here. You can tell it'll sound a little different, but it's running smooth now. And you can see by the return, the flow is really strong. Normally I keep it below that level because when my wife and I get in there with Anthony, it'll rise up. The water level will rise up. So it's actually more water in there now than normal. And you can see the strainer coming into it. Ducky. Yep, and the ducky with a couple of chlorine. I put an ounce of liquid chlorine in here as well, pool. You get it at Walmart. It kind of shocks the pool, helps it out a little better as well. So that's it. Thank you for checking out our video. Whoa, split in the floss. Anthony, you like the stock tank pool? Uh-huh. A lot of fun, ain't it? Uh-huh. Thank you for checking us out. I'm trying to get him used to snorkeling here before we go off on vacation. I would definitely buy one of these though. Really, I have no interest really in it. It just beats the blue pools. I mean, as far as if you want something really deep, like 4 foot, I understand going to the blue pool, bigger above ground pool. But if you got small kids, we bought this with intention to turn it into a koi pond down the road. It's just something to come in and cool off late in the evenings. It does warm up with the sun. It's 95 degrees. But it's simple to drain this, drain it down, a third, add more water back to it, and then it's refreshing again. And we don't do that very often. Thank you for checking us out. This is Mike, just giving you a quick update after about 2 weeks. This pump is awesome. It's really doing a great job
keeping the water crystal clear. This is about 8:30 in the morning. I do want to point out one thing. It's kind of a safety. I do take the guard off of the skimmer or the drain to capture bigger particles. The polyfiber is working awesome. I'm gonna continue to use that weekly and change it weekly just to help trap some of the stuff. But this is with this size pump on this size pool, it's very strong. So if you have small children, even with this on the strainer, the suction is pretty stout. So I would watch your kids closely. If you know, most parents do anyway. But if they're playing around, playing in the water, it will suck you into that. So if you have a small child, you know, my 7-year-old's okay, but if you have like 2, 3, 4-year-olds and they get over near there, it will pull them into it. So that's something just to be careful of or mindful of. You know, especially if they, had their head or something below the water and it sucked them into that. They could drown. So anytime you have a pool, you have to be careful of that anyway. But with this size pump on this small of a pool, that section is going to be that strong anyway, no matter what. But it's just be very mindful of that. It's just a safety precaution out there. Thank you.